Gentlemen, Eagles fan, welcome to Inside the UPSL on TV EMAX and on TVEMAX.com. You can also find us at Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. That is at UPSL Soccer. I am your host, Alex Naveja, and alongside with me is Simon Allen, and alongside Dennis Pope, as we're here every Thursday night to bring you, the fans, the players, and the coaches, the latest news on the fastest growing pro development soccer league, the UPSL. We're going to start off with Off the Top as we bring you the top 3 stories in lower division soccer. Gentlemen, let's go ahead and start off with the big news with Chad Johnson, aka Chad Ochocinco, coming into the league and finally signing a deal with Boca Raton FC. Do you guys think he's going to produce here with the UPSL?
I think he's got a great chance to. He's really locked into Boca Raton. He's been there for several months. He's played some friendlies with them. He really knows what they're looking for, and I think he understands what they're asking of him. And so I think it's a pretty good match for him. He's trying to make this soccer dream happen. He's found a welcoming there in Boca Raton, so I think it's a good spot.
Kind of interesting to see him just jumping from sport to sport, but now to see him in a soccer jersey is going to be really interesting to see how that's going to work. Now we have another player jumping on. Now we have Ontario Fury signing the former men's national team player Jermaine Jones. So is this move trying to compete with the whole Landon Donovan signing that he made with the San Diego Sockers, or do you guys think it's for some other reason?
Well, you know, Jermaine Jones is a star player. You know, if you look at U.S. national team fans, he's an instant recognizable player. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of PR, but you can't deny the professionalism that this player brings in. He's played in Germany, played for the national team, LA Galaxy. So right there and then, you know, and he's going to bring something to the dressing room. On top of that, he's kind of a big guy and he's a tough soccer player. And that might be a change we'll see in sort of indoor soccer in the future. It might get a little bit more rough and tumble. And, you know, a recognizable player is only good for a franchise. So it's a bit of both.
He's only good so long as he's healthy, too, and he's 37.
Yeah.
And he is a physical player, so that does take a toll on the body. The arena game is different than the
Absolutely,
outdoor
yeah.
game. There's less running, but there is a chance that there is more physical play out there as well. So it'll be interesting to see certainly what he makes of his time with the Fury and what they want to do going forward with Jermaine Jones. Mm-hmm. But I did speak to both the general manager of the Fury and the head coach, and they say that while they don't expect him to come in and take charge of the locker room immediately, they see him growing into that pretty quickly. They notice, you know, straight off his stature amongst the other players, how they look at him, and so on and so forth. So I think they're really ready to utilize his skill set totally.
Dennis, let me just add that I don't believe that there are old players and young players. There are no old players and young players. They're just good players and bad players. Mm-hmm. So I want to sort of strike that sort of old young notion, you know, off the record. If he's going to be good, he's going to be good, and no one's going to worry about his age.
So we're talking about age a little bit now. And some other news, now we have the UPSL Youth Academy getting their first conference managers. How significant and how big a deal is this for you guys?
Well, the 5 new conference managers for the UPSL Youth Academy division represent different regions of the country. So the UPSL is breaking down its youth division into, you know, a sectionalized version of basically the big group, the men's team. And they hope to sort of build the same sort of interest regionally that the men's division has gained, and by using some of the same people and utilizing some of the same people that are involved in the UPSL men's division. So Christian Vallejos, who's the Florida conference manager.
He's great.
Yeah,
I like him.
Really cool guy. He's now in charge of building that for the youth division down in Florida. Texas, they have separated into 3 separate regions. There's the Houston region, the San Antonio region, and the Dallas-Fort Worth region. Each of those has its own manager. There's a couple of new managers over here in California, including Tony Partita in San Diego and Jabril Koulibaly up the coast. And so it's growing. They're starting with places where they can play year-round, like Texas, California, and Florida. And so, you know, once I think it starts to get a foothold, it'll start to grow, and you'll start to see the UPSL announcing more managers in different regions.
It's only good for American soccer. You know, when you start the kids off younger and they have actually a place to look up to and go to. So they start off as kids and for one team, then they move on to the reserve team, then the under-21 team, then the senior team, then they go from one league to the next. This is just essentially America catching up the rest of the world. We're giving American youth a place to start. So it's wonderful that UPSL is doing that.
Agreed.
So big things coming up for the UPSL. We talked a little bit about the UPSL Youth Academy coming up, but we're going to take our first break here in Inside the UPSL. But when we come back, we're going to have the president of Boca Raton FC joining us in just a second. But don't forget to follow us on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. That is at UPSL Soccer. Welcome back to Inside the UPSL, presented by TV EMAX. And now we're going to bring in our first guest, the president of Boca Raton FC. Here he is, Douglas Heizer. How you doing, Douglas?
Hey, thank you guys for having me. I love the accent of Boca Raton. Huh? You comment to say it.
Yeah, it took us a little bit of while to be able to figure things out, and everything. But how does it feel to sign off on Chad Ochocinco? That new acquisition could be pretty big for the squad, right?
Oh yeah, this is being yes, and you're very lucky. Every year you have a big name playing with Boca Raton, and this year you're going to have Ochocinco, and it's been an amazing experience, and because not only about a good player, but it's about his model, and he's being a role model for the entire team because he's a professional athlete, and this has to be very good for us, believe me.
Mm-hmm. So take me back to the process of signing him, and how did it go down?
Well, this is starting last year, and I don't contact him in the moment he's asking to do something because he's started to be a retired player. Actually, he posted something in his Twitter account and say, "Oh, it's being very bad to be retired. I don't have anything to do." And Pedro's sent him a picture with a Ochocinco jersey. And then he said, "Okay, I'll be there tomorrow." And he was there. It was a big surprise. He showed up to the practice. And he was one of the first one to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it's been amazing. And like I keep saying, the reason that he joined us, I think, was a little for everything. It's a little for the right moment, right place. Yeah. And also, and he met with us. He said that he's followed us for a while. He know what you're doing. He lives close to the field, and his passion to be playing soccer. So that's very nice. Good.
So how excited is the ball club with this new signing with Chad Ochocinco? Have you heard any feedback from the team yet?
Pretty good feedback.
I'm here.
Okay, so how are the fans reacting with this new signing of Chad Ochocinco?
I can hear you. Something bad in the connection.
So how are the fans reacting as far as the signing of Chad Ochocinco?
Oh, the fans are very excited because he's a very nice person. He's been with the fans all the time. He's doing the training sections. The fans going over there, and during our pre-season, they come in the big numbers to watch Ochocinco. And then one thing that I'm liking more than everything else is that you are bringing a football fans to become a soccer fan. You get it? Because a lot of people who never followed soccer in their life are following Ochocinco, and now they're starting coming for the soccer games. And they really adding new fans. They are the NFL fans that follow Ochocinco.
So he's still playing football, but not American football. But why did you guys decide to sign him?
What's the question? Sorry.
Why did you guys decide to sign Chad Ochocinco?
Oh, like I said at the beginning, he is an athlete with a big role model as an athlete. And he has so many things to give to the club, not only in the field, but out of the field as well. And he's being inspiration for the young players, and he's an inspiration for people to follow their dreams, no matter what time, what age, and what stage of their life. I don't know if you heard his story. He fell in love with soccer at 11 years old, but and he knew at that time that he's not going to give enough resource for him to move for where he's born. And this is what they play football. And this is a dream. If you guys heard, listen to the press conference that he gave yesterday, he's saying exactly like that. He's following his dream. And this is a big example. And then everybody's getting too much with that.
Douglas, you have Kavan Lange from Haiti and Tunisian Maher Souza, who are midfielders. How are they reacting to another midfield player coming in to try to take their spot?
Actually, they are good partners. And the coach Jim Rooney is working in a very good task when they can use all those guys in the field. And then the other good stuff is, and when Chad needs to be in the bench, he will be in the bench. He's not like, oh, I'm a star, I need to play 9 minutes, you understand? And he's there to play with the team and during the time the team needs. And we don't have any problem with the squad. Everybody's very, very happy with Ochocinco. And we have a very good group. We play together, a group of our players. The majority of the players play together since last season. And then we really have a family over here.
Douglas, your first match is just around the corner. How many minutes do you think Chad Ochocinco is going to play in his first match?
They can play 9 minutes. They've been playing 9 minutes in all the games. And it all depends what the coach is going to decide. And I know he's a starter. This is what I can tell you now. And but how many minutes he's going to play? He's been playing 9 minutes with us. And I don't see why not.
So do you guys already have like a game plan on how you guys are going to use him as far as going into the season?
Yes, he's going to stay with us during the season. And again, and I don't interfere in the business inside the field. This is a Coach Rooney decision, and he's a very experienced coach, and I'm not going to interfere with that. But as I see in the training sessions, in the preseason games, he's really going to use Ochocinco.
Mm-hmm. And Douglas, how do you plan to use Chad in the team's marketing going forward?
Well, our plan with Chad is not. It's more with our non-profit organization than with the profit organization. We have a non-profit called Boca Raton Pro Soccer that is working to raise funds to help underprivileged kids to play soccer. And a lot of people talking all the time about the American model that pay to play, yeah? And everybody knows it's not an easy question, and everybody knows that to get this thing solved, a lot of things need to be happening. But until there, and Boca Raton Pro Soccer is going to create a network of youth clubs that is going to pay for the kids who don't have money to pay to play. Understand? And this is what we're going to use Ochocinco. He's going to help us with the non-profit organization. He's not going to ask him anything else than that. And he's happy. And we're going to put him Ochocinco in auction in a couple of days. And this is our goal. But for sure, any company wants to see his brand in Ochocinco jersey, yeah? The man has 3.5 million followers on Twitter. And any brand.
Well, I definitely think you guys are going to sell more jerseys this season.
Oh, definitely. And to give you real numbers, I'm not ashamed to tell you that. And until today, you sold already what you used to sell in the 6 months of the year. And because it's like a heat effect, and the guys from Futbol, Daniel, in South Florida, he has a huge Puerto Rican community. And
well, Douglas, it was a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for being on the show with us.
Thank you very much. Sorry about the bad communication and all the technical difficulties. And anytime you guys need me, just give me a call.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that and stay up to date with everything going on with Chad Ochocinco.
Okay, man. Thank you very much again. It's a pleasure to be with you guys, and I hope you have a great season. Great UPSL season.
Thank you so much. That was Douglas Heizer, the president of Boca Raton FC. As we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to throw it our way to the East Coast swing. We're going to go ahead and put on our swing shoes, but we'll be back after this break.
Mr. John manages a small football club with just a few followers. Every day he wonders, how can I attract more supporters? Internet is the answer, but a channel is time-consuming, expensive, and hard to maintain. Everything has changed since Mr. John met MyCujo, the football broadcasting solution for small and medium-sized clubs and leagues. Mr. John noticed how everything has started to change quickly when supporters and fans began to arrive. If you want your club to enjoy the same benefits as Mr. John's, sign up with MyCujo.tv. Attract more followers for your club and empower its business now. MyCujo, democratization of football broadcasting. MyCujo.tv.
And welcome back to Inside the UPSL, presented by TV EMAX. And now it's time to turn on the tunes as we swing our way to the East Coast swings. We're going to first start off with the Northeast. The spring and fall schedule are now posted. What matchups can we be looking forward to?
Okay, so listen, I'm still getting familiar with all these conferences, right? I've talked to the commissioner. I'm like, man, you got to sort this out for me because I'm a follower. You know, it's a good thing about the UPSL is that you can follow it.
Yeah.
You know, like in America, for example, you can't watch all the baseball games for the Mets or the Dodgers, right? But you can watch a few, but you can certainly follow it. I'm gonna tell you, I don't know which particular conference they're in. You're gonna have to probably correct me, but I'm right now I'm looking at Mass United, right? And I'm looking at this team because they got a really good range of players, European players, South American players, a good coach, lots of European players, and I like European players, obviously. So I think if I was looking at the East, and if I was getting into the league, as if I was a newbie to this league, and I needed to sort of say I'm gonna be a follower or a supporter, I'm right now I'm thinking Mass United. Just on paper, they look really good, really interesting, and I think they got the conference itself is pretty interesting enough right now that it could be anyone's ballpark. But I just like this particular team. What do you think, Dennis?
That's a good call. They were UPSL Spring Northeast champion. So that's a good call.
So they're in the Northeast.
Correct. They're
right,
the Northeast champion. Right. And there's
geography.
There's plenty of good teams up there. The Northeast is kind of shape-shifted a little bit from last season. There's only going to be one division of Pro Premier, and then probably 2 divisions of the championship.
Right.
But in the top tier, the schedule has been released. For
who do you like in the East?
I like Junior Lone Star. They're one of those teams that played in the MPSL and joined the UPSL. They had thought about maybe doing Founders Cup. They're a big club with a lot of quality backing there in the Philadelphia area. You know, I think that they have the right formula to challenge. They have the right athletes. It's just going to take maybe a break or two, a little bit of luck going their way.
Philadelphia's a hotbed of sort of amateur soccer, lower league soccer. Some great teams out there. You're made out of hard stock if you're playing in the field, any kind of soccer.
Right, in the Northeast in general.
Yeah.
You know, the weather's rough. So.
Yeah. It's always fun. The East Coast is always fun to watch. You sort of like, you know, lower league football, really good. You can see hard football. You can see football in the rain. You can see football in the snow. So if you're a fan out there and you want to stand out in the cold, have yourself like a nice big hot chocolate.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Watch it. Yeah, I'd go for that one as well.
I like Real New York too. It's our first UPSL's first New York team.
Yeah.
Based in Queens. It'll be interesting to see what they make of themselves this season.
Queens, another hotbed. This is my second home, Queens. So the football there is really good. You have to be really good to even get selected to play in any kind of league there. So I'm obviously looking forward to Real, that particular team. You know, you're going to look at quality there no matter what happens. So if you're out there looking as a follower, as a fan of UPSL, I'd go with that one as well.
So we're going to go ahead and make our way down south, and we're going to go to Florida. So are 3 Palm Beach clubs too many, or you think it's a good amount? We'll start off with Dennis.
All right.
That's quite a bit. There's the Palm Beach Breakers. There's the Palm Beach Spartans. And there's the Palm Beach Flames, which is a brand new expansion team that the UPSL is yet to announce. But all these teams are going to participate in the spring season in the South Florida division. You know, where are they all going to play? Are there 3 different high schools? Are they sharing facilities? A little bit of that remains to be seen. But I think local derbies are always going to be to the benefit of lower division soccer.
Well, this is kind of a new thing going on in America right now. Isn't it? Like we've got 3 teams. Okay, let's look at LA, for example. We're in LA right now. We've got a bunch of teams here. Who do you support? But all around the world, you can look at where I'm from, London. You can just, you know, it's stone's throw away from each particular sort of stadium. So yeah, so this is where the business side comes in. I love it when there's 3 or 4 teams in the local area, because what's going to happen is the football has to be good, the business side has to be good, and the fan outreach has to be really, really good. So we'll see, you know, and that's the cutthroat world of, I guess, soccer, right? For the football, if there's 3 teams, you know, in that one area, well, guess what? The best players are going to go to the best, you know, the best run team. So we'll see what happens. And having there's no such thing as having too many teams in the area.
True.
You know, do you remember the time when, you know, LA Galaxy and Chivas were playing in the Chivas?
Yeah, the same, yeah.
I go to the same stadium twice in a weekend. What's the difference? It's great. I want to watch great football. So you can do the same thing, you know, in Florida. Watch great football, support your local club, and whoever sort of gets to you and sort of tugs at your heart, and you're going to be their fan.
All 3 really have great looking kits too. They all really embody that really colorful Florida scheme, and yeah, their jerseys you should check out for sure.
So big things happen over there in Florida. Now we're going to make our way towards Southeast, as the Mid-Atlantic Division is already up and running. There's already been 2 shutout wins for some ball clubs. Can you guys tell me a little bit more about these shutout wins?
I'm going to revert to Dennis on this.
Sure.
One, yeah.
Lowcountry United, one of the original Southeast Division teams, they got out to a fast start with a 2-0 victory. I should say a 3-0 victory. They beat It'll come to me. I'll think of it. And then Soda Springs FC, they got the other shutout victory. Yeah, hit me up, Alan. I know you're going to watch the show. Yeah, you guys played FC Cardinals out of Winston-Salem.
Good save.
Yeah, right. You guys won that game 3-0, and then Soda City FC, they beat Charleston United, the other Charleston team, 2-0 in their opener.
Why is it called Soda City? Is it because they drink a lot of soda?
Columbia, South Carolina is or was a soda manufacturing capital of the Southeast.
Like drinkable
soda pop.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. So their logo has bubbles in it and the whole deal. Yeah.
So see again, without following it, you don't know.
We learn something every time.
That's amazing. Soda City.
Soda City out of Columbia, South Carolina.
Got a fan out of me now.
They participated in the U.S. Open Cup this last year. They're not very far. They made it all the way. I think they lost in the last round, so they were up until the last qualifier.
Had a few more drinks before,
Maybe
half time.
A little bubbly.
So we're going to make our way towards the Midwest as news has been brewing over here in the Midwest as TV's Rob Stone posted up a picture to be more specific, of him wearing a Bavarian SC jersey. Do you think this type of coverage is what lower division soccer needs, or what do you think this means?
Well, listen, I mean, if Chad Ochocinco is going to get you more coverage, and Jermaine Jones is going to get you more coverage than this, of course, you want these folks that are on TV, on network TV, promoting it. Now, Rob Stone, to me, I think he's one of the hardest working guys in the business, and he's got a tough job. He's got to actually sort of control the pundits on TV.
He's got his job.
Yeah, pretty much,
right.
And that's a tough job. He's been on my show, and he's a great guy, and he loves football. So any kind of sort of support from these guys on network TV, from whichever, I'm not going to name them. Can I name them, or should I?
Yeah, we can throw it out there.
From Fox or ESPN or BN or whatever. Getting those guys involved is key, and any kind of support is absolutely sort of welcomed. And he's a great guy, and hopefully we can get him on the show.
Yeah, Rob's a great dude, and to wear the UPSL championship jersey, I mean, I think that speaks volumes about Bavarian and the UPSL.
So our final stop is going to be at Texas as FC WACO and Inocentes FC. They're going to be selling tickets for that friendlies going towards Erik Reyes since he was diagnosed with Hodgkins disease. How big of news is that, and how much is that going to help out Erik Reyes?
It's a really cool thing that WACO and Inocentes are doing, to put all of those ticket sales for that game toward his to Eric's benefit, is a tremendous gesture on their part. The season's just getting going, so they were going to play this friendly anyway. Unfortunately, the news broke that he, is going to undergo treatment for Hodgkin's lymphoma, and we certainly wish him the best of luck with that and the best of health going forward. But I think, if you can do something for the community and one of your players at the same time and sort of build that, I think that makes the bond stronger locally, with what's going on there.
You just can't be a franchise owner and go say, here's a football, go watch it. You have to engage the community. Something that it took a long time for a lot of, you can look at American soccer history and it literally, I've said this many times, it's riddled with, franchises that just don't exist anymore because they didn't engage the people that are come and pay money to watch them. They didn't go out into the community and they didn't do stuff like this. Right. So yes, benefiting a player, but also telling the community, listen, man, we're not just about football. We're about people. And so obviously, no one's going to disagree with this. It's a great thing that they're doing. Hopefully they'll make a ton of money, bring in some fans, obviously, and just have a great game. And it's a friendly, so just go out there and have a good time. Call up the people from Soda FC and get some drinks.
So definitely them trying to help out the community. Our thoughts and prayers do go down to Erik Reyes. Hopefully his procedure goes all well and he becomes healthy as soon as possible. But that's going to be the end of the tune here at the East Coast Swing as we're going to make our way to the West Coast to say what's up to the UPSL West Coast. And welcome back to Inside the UPSL, presented by TV EMAX. As now we're ready to say what's up to the West Coast here in the UPSL West Side. First stop is going to be the Pacific Northwest, where we wonder which club will be next to join. Any possible new teams in the works?
It's been pretty quiet here the last couple weeks since the last Alaska expansion. I think teams are starting to try and, get a little bit going. The weather's still rough up there, so it's still slow. And I think unless you were prepared, coming into like the fall winter session, you weren't going to be ready to announce for the spring yet. So, there are some teams out there who are still kind of rumbling, but the last week since the last show, not a whole lot's been happening. But I do wonder, where the teams in the Portland area are.
Yeah, it's like that's the hotbed of football in America, right?
Exactly.
Everyone says, oh, it's where America's football started. So where are they? Did you say Alaska?
That's correct.
You got a team in Alaska.
There's 3 teams in Alaska now.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's going on in the winter there? Is it just put
Nothing.
ice skates on?
They should still be playing with ice skates.
Goalkeeper's a seal or something?
I do know that they have indoor facilities.
Oh, of course they do. Of course,
right?
yeah.
So, they can run soccer generally pretty much whenever they want, but they're trying to get an outdoor season going for this. So it'll be the summertime when they can play at midnight. We were talking about it on a couple shows ago, how we could have like a 4-peater throughout the day, like games at 2, 4, 6, 8, and then like 10 up in Alaska, and make it like a full day's work.
And have my crew go do
exactly.
it. And that would be awesome.
Exactly.
Has there ever been an Alaska team in U.S. soccer history? I don't think
I don't know about it soccer history, but there's never been a U.S. Open Cup qualifier out of Alaska, which is sort of the baseline for amateur soccer clubs in the country. So, this will be a first to have a first real amateur season up in Alaska that's part of some sort of national league like the UPSL. So it's exciting, and there's still going to be more teams to grow. And I know that today there was a logo put out for the potential of a Canadian Premier League team in Anchorage, maybe. That's still sort of out there, maybe. But as it stands right now, the Pacific Northwest Conference and the UPSL will be Alaska and Washington at the moment.
I would love to see the rosters of the Alaska team right now, where they're coming from, who's going to. How much you guys want to bet there'll be a Brazilian on the squad?
I wouldn't doubt it. There's a lot of players up there that have to go to Idaho and Washington and Oregon to play college ball, and then they come back and they, go to work. They don't play soccer again. So this will be the opportunity for them to, rebuild.
That's the beauty of UPSL, because I've been following you, for a while. Alaska, I mean, it has really been widespread across America to where if you don't have a local team, you might not be looking correctly.
Right.
I mean,
you're missing out for sure.
Well, you're obviously not looking. I mean, it's got to be there because it's in Alaska. You said 3 teams
everywhere.
Yep.
Wow, I would have a hard time picking which one now. So.
Most of the teams are up there in the Anchorage area right now. That's the heavily populated center of Alaska. So, you'd imagine that there'd be a few more teams come from there, maybe a team from Fairbanks, maybe some teams down in Juneau, maybe get that team up in Nome.
I love it. I love it.
That's like the North Pole. But so it's going to be awesome no matter how it shakes out, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger as time goes by.
I can't wait. I mean, listen, again, like I said, if you're a follower of football, this is just that alone, following Alaska would be something that you just spend hours and hours pouring through. That's fantastic.
So now we're going to make our way towards the mountain regions. For the first time ever, are big things finally coming for that region?
This season, there should be 8 teams in the mountain region, which is by far the most. That
I was talking about where like Boise,
correct,
Boise
Idaho,
and then San Juan FC,
correct, Utah, Idaho region. So there's going to be another team here in the next few days come out of Salt Lake City.
That's a scoop.
Yep, an all-African refugee team called African Stars FC. That's the first ever African owned and operated team out of Salt Lake City.
Wow.
So that's a big, important step for the immigrant community there. And they'll join several other teams in the greater Salt Lake area that are about to join the league as well.
So now we're going to shift our way towards the Southwest. Now, will Sporting AZ FC's preseason pay off with all the hard work that they've been putting in?
Is that the same FC that was in the?
Correct. They played Bavarian in the spring final. Correct. Yeah, they've played some really high-profile friendlies this spring. Yeah. They played FC Dallas, of course, MLS club. Yeah. And the new USL team out of New Mexico United. The results obviously aren't there for Sporting AZ yet. The level of talent is obviously there's a disparity. But even to be able to schedule those friendlies, make that happen, that means the front office is working. Right, and the club is respected enough to have those teams face off against them. So that means, many things for Sporting AZ. Does it mean anything competitively yet? That sort of remains to be seen.
Mm-hmm. So now we're going to move our way towards NorCal as we're noticing Contra Costa FC is getting some noise and getting some treatment from Protagonist Soccer. What's going on there? Why are they getting attention from them?
Well, they're the most important Liga NorCal team to recently make the jump to the UPSL, so they're getting a lot of attention for that. They were essentially just like a men's recreational adult team several years ago, and they just continued to grab the imaginations and the attention of players there. The coaching has gotten better, the players have gotten better. They went from winning Liga NorCal to trying to make the jump now to the UPSL, and I think they're getting recognized for their for the building process that they've undergone.
What's the chances that they're going to do well? Because there's a big jump from amateur sort of guys, public kind of stuff to UPSL. That is a huge jump regardless where
they are highly regarded in Liga NorCal, which is the top league up there in the Bay Area for amateur soccer. And so I think they have a very good chance of being competitive. That Wild West Conference does have some fluctuation happening on a regular basis. Last year it was Jaws of Redwood City and the Nevada, or the Western Nevada Club, I should say. I think they're Nevada Coyotes FC, right? I don't want to miss. They've had a name change. They're Nevada Coyotes FC. Those were the two top teams there last year. Nevada Coyotes is always going to be a very strong team. They're the best, or one of the best amateur teams out of the Reno area, and they travel constantly into the Bay Area to play these teams. But getting back to Contra Costa, talent, location, their facility is good. I think they have a lot of good things going in their favor.
So some nice history coming out of
Contra Costa. The idea that we want to sort of promote this sort of promotion and relegation stuff. To have a team, let's call it what it is. This was a recreational. I call it a
rec team, pub team,
right? Something they're like, well, no, we can be good. We can go ahead and go toe to toe with anyone above us. Well, this is something that we can follow over here too. And that doesn't happen too often. I mean, it happens on a higher level, but not at this level too much. So if they got the gumption to go ahead and come into the league, we want to wish them well, obviously, and keep an eye on them. Let's see what happens.
And they'll be a tough out. I think they're going to be a real competitive squad.
How do you think they're going to do in U.S. Open if they do that?
They'd have to make that decision first to qualify in the fall. But, given their stature there in the Northern California area already, they could probably win a game or two and see their stock rise quite a bit.
It'd be nice to see that.
Yeah.
So big things happening in SoCal as we make our way to our final stop as the Santa Ana Winds FC player Jordan Gorman signs a deal with MKE Torrent. How big of a deal is this? Word on is that it's never happened before?
This is Milwaukee Torrent, right?
That's correct. Yeah, MKE is just an abbreviation for Milwaukee.
So it's Milwaukee. So that's something that I'm very interested in, because I don't think it is the first time that's happened. I think it could have been something going. It could have been another different, but it's still big news here in this league. So again, we have to research that, but it's a big deal for UPSL that a player that Santa Ana Winds is good enough to go and sign a pro contract. The next match, I think, for Santa Ana Winds is with Newcastle and San Diego. I think
that's correct.
And that's going to be a sort of a big tell, because this player that Milwaukee picked up was a defender.
Gorman is a striker.
Is a striker?
Yeah, he's been their leading scorer the last 3 seasons.
So let me rephrase that. So he's a striker. So let's see what happens and how that team is going to react without him. Going back to the idea that that UPSL is creating players that can sign pro contracts and move up. Well, that's huge. That's that whole sort of pyramid and that sort of, road to wherever you need to go. So let's see if maybe 3 or 4 years from now we're talking about this kid, maybe, playing for the U.S. national team.
Jordan Gorman has been fantastic.
Out of Chico State,
Chico State, right? And he's a local Orange County guy.
Yeah.
And has just scored every season for Santa Ana Winds, was big for them in the U.S. Open Cup qualifying, and now he's going to get his chance in the MPSL Founders Cup with MKE Torrent, and who knows what could be next. I mean, it could be a springboard to something else, right? So, and as far as like the UPSL player pool has gone, lots of players have gone on to sign and do different things in different places and elsewhere, but I think with the MPSL Founders Cup and the sort of focus that has now for the imagination of the American soccer public, this is a sort of a paradigm shift that way towards taking the next logical step up, because you'll see players go to Costa Rica and do different things in sort of a random way, but this is sort of the progression of American soccer.
This is the road that UPSL has created. Before that wasn't that. If you played in a league like UPSL, the chances of you moving to a pro and then going somewhere was probably not going to happen.
Right.
UPSL is like is at the forefront of that.
This is a new movement that's taking place, so it's exciting.
Yeah, very, very exciting times to be a soccer fan in the United States. If this continues, then this is what we've been sort of waiting for the past 30, 40
Absolutely.
years.
So we just said what's up to the hottest spots in the UPSL West Coast. But when we come back, we're going to have our guy Simon Allen going to talk a little bit more about some UPSL news coming up. You guys don't want to miss out after this break. And welcome back to Inside the UPSL, presented by TV EMAX. And now we'd like to welcome our last but not least, our last guest will be Simon Allen, soccer commentator. Simon, how have you been enjoying the show tonight?
I've been here all along, man. I've been here, been sitting and watching it. I can't be the last and least.
No, we're still going to welcome you. We're doing all right. We're enjoying the show.
I'm having a good time. I want to go ahead and do a shout out to the crew out there, doing a great job. You know, always we're going to remember, you know, the guys in front of the camera, we look good, we sound good because of these guys. So big up. Maybe, you know, a few drinks, a coffee once in a while might help.
Yeah.
What's going on in LA, guys? Because we're in LA right now. Hopefully everyone out there knows we're promoting UPSL. So, you know, what's going on in LA? What do you guys want to...
Well, the season's just starting, right? So that's an important thing to finally get the ball rolling again for the season.
Yeah.
And the season seemed like it just ended
Didn't
here
it?
in Southern California, and we're just starting back up again. There hasn't been any downtime. There's been no off season, literally.
I really liked your play-by-play announcer for the
Yeah, he was on point for the championship game.
I'm his biggest fan.
Every morning,
I was like, who is this guy? He's amazing. He's amazing. Yeah. I brushed my teeth to that guy. Let me tell you, that's awesome.
He was a steal too. I got to tell you, he agreed to do it just a couple days before and really saved our bacon.
So you better write his name down, put him in a book somewhere.
Right.
I want to talk about, because we're in LA, right? And I've loved football since I was 3 years old. Right. My first memory as a kid was in a stadium, if you believe it or not. And I've been in sort of the American game since I pretty much got here, from every part of from low league to high league, college and whatever. This week, you know what, something that really kind of irked me, like almost made me want to spit, was that there was these college people, these college coaches, 2 of them were in LA, 3 of them were in LA, that would essentially get kickback money from parents and then bring their kid in, right? And they would not even be soccer people. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so we've been talking about for years, you know, how pay to play doesn't work, and how pay to play is horrible. And suddenly we're seeing that it's not at the level that, you know, like let's say I was when I'm coaching kids, right? It's at the highest level. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm really disgusted at those coaches. I'm really disgusted at those coaches for doing what they did, because they're gonna set back soccer. The amount of work that we've done, and I'm talking about us, we've done to promote it and make it sort of a legitimate, because remember when I first came to America, there's no soccer on TV. And if you played soccer, you're like, what kind of guy is this? You know. Yeah. So now that this is happening, you know, it's really going to affect how people will look at soccer. And amateur soccer starts in college, and soccer coaching starts in college. So I'm also thinking about like all these kids that never got a chance because some coach got a kickback from this is really big news, and I want everyone out there to know it. And it's really going to affect soccer in sort of ways that maybe we're not going to see right away, but it's certainly kind of disgusting, you know.
It'll cause a ripple effect, I think, across the NCAA.
Yeah.
And you're going to see people take the fall for this that maybe not necessarily involved, but they were the athletic director who oversaw, that soccer coach and hired that soccer coach, and so then they're the responsible party in that situation. But college coaches taking money from well-to-do families and so on and so forth, right? That's against everything that sporting merit is about. Right. So you earn your position within the team. You don't pay to not really play, but be a part of the university like these students are being a part of. They're being photoshopped into team pictures. And all kinds of weird things are going on to make it seem like they're actually a part of the program when in fact they've never gone to a practice, done a training, been on a game roster, on any of that. They're just sort of floating along on their parents' money, and the coaches are sort of perpetuating this nonsense. And to make it stop and to actually find that there's an investigation being done by the FBI is sort of shocking because, money corrupts, indefinitely.
Racketeering,
right?
money laundering, It is not good for American soccer. When I say shame on those coaches, I really mean shame on them. What you did, if you're listening out there, and you are going to pay for that, legally going to pay for that. What you did was you took a kid that could actually play soccer and demote that kid to whatever, a life of not playing soccer, not getting a college education, and you brought someone in that was not worthy of it. That is a sin in my book. That is not correct. So we might have, who knows how many, and I'll rephrase this, who knows how many really good soccer players we lost because of this practice. So it's a big deal, and I hope they are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. This is something that I'm very passionate about, giving every kid a chance, and especially the ones that could really do well. And by the way, this could also be the end of college sports. And this is where I think proper soccer leagues can take up the mantle. We do things, inclusive meritocracy. We do things because you're good, not just because you have a ton of money in your back pocket or your mom is famous. So this is, I think, we can hold our head up high when it comes to leagues like the UPSL. We don't care where you come from. If you can play, you get a shot.
Yeah, the NCAA is something of a monolith. I don't know if this would be enough to take down the whole system, but this certainly puts chinks in the armor.
Absolutely.
Right. So I think at some point you start to look at the big picture with the NCAA and see what it is that they're doing at all levels of sport with all teams and all divisions of the NCAA, and start to realize that it's it's a racketeering scheme.
Let's just hope it gets rectified really quickly, and let's hope what really happens is, teams across America, like the ones at UPSL, look at that and go, you know what? It's time that we stepped up. It's time that we went ahead and got these kids, and like we're doing with the youth leagues, and that's where I think soccer will become great in America, when the clubs and the franchises pick up the mantle and really do it. I think the days of college might, I don't know, maybe they might be trickling away.
I think you're right. I think they are a little bit trickling away, especially in soccer in this country. I think you're going to start to see a shift away from an academic / athletic environment to separating those two, like the
Let's
US.
hope so. I'm a firm believer in that, always have been. I don't believe in the student-athlete myth. It's like either a student or you're an athlete. Which one are you? I joke around, like some of these kids that, 19, 20 years old, 21 years old, they're studying for midterms. Michael Owen was in the World Cup when he was 18 years old. Didn't have to worry about that one. Wow. So maybe it'll be beneficial for us that this kind of thing was caught, and then we'll be happy to go ahead and pick this up. And
I think soccer will be better for it.
I think so too. Yeah.
I just think it's unfortunate with these athletes. They lose a spot in there, but you know what? I think for the UPSL, they definitely take any of these players in a heartbeat and take them up.
If you're good enough to play for USC, I think you should definitely
at least get a tryout with one of our clubs.
Right. I can remember, like, when on my team we had guys that were playing at local colleges, and we were like, you're on the first team? And they're like, yeah, come on. You know, we'll just give you, it's a no-brainer. Take them. So hopefully if you're out there, you know, go join up, go talk to your local UPSL team.
Mm-hmm. Well, we just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. And Simon Allen, thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate having you.
It's my pleasure. You know, anytime you want to talk football, I'm around. Let me tell you, that's my passion. It's my love. And I really do respect and enjoy watching UPSL and its teams. I think it is the way to do it, you know, to do soccer business. And anytime when you see me, I'm usually the guy in the corner watching a game, not knowing who the teams are. But I know that if there's this logo, it's going to be quality.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. It's going to come up with some big things, but we just want to say thank you so much to everybody that came with us to watch this show tonight. I want to thank Dennis Pope for being on the show, along with Mr. Allen himself coming on to the show. I'm Alex Naveja, the host for tonight's show. Hope you guys could join us next Thursday. Just want to say good night and have a good one.